Back here for week 20 of the Bobcast. Fielder Dennis alongside head coach Brian Christensen. Coach, let's get your overall thoughts on your team's performance this weekend. Women 2-0, and then the men went 1-0-1 with a tie with Salem. What were your overall thoughts on your team's performance?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me once again. I feel like it's just been years since Bobcast.
You're not wrong.
Just like an eternity away. You know, we're out of the pool for like not out of the pool, but out of meets for like 9 weeks there, which is pretty significant. But we came back with some pretty good swims. It was good to have that focus and kind of get into that meet routine without a ton of hiccups. You know, I was very proud of the women. Um, we had some really good racing. We had some different events on some people. We had a couple people out with, some illness and injuries and stuff. Just trying to, get back on track. And so some teammates were stepping up, and they did really well. Some people I was like challenging them in some odd, weird stuff, and they really rose up. Um, the men, I think Salem swum pretty well. I couldn't believe that we tied. Looking back on it, I think, because we ended up going 1-2 in the last relay, which we probably didn't need to load up that relay for. We probably could have, I think we are a better team than them in paper. I think we could have shifted things around, but obviously, this is hindsight. If they made it come down to the last relay, I wanted to win it, and in a way it did, because we went 1-2 in the last relay, which puts up 15 points to tie it.
Yeah.
They were ahead the entire meet, until that last relay. And ties are rare in swimming, very rare. That comes down to that. So it's kind of exciting to be a part of, but also no one wants a tie.
Yeah.
I want to challenge the coach to a coach's swim off at the end to determine the tie.
Yeah. Been good. Butterflies only.
That's right.
Yeah.
But no, it's nice to come out of a meet without any loss. But I don't know. I think we could have adjusted it and won. But they're not a conference opponent or anything. So we won't see them again. But we'll kind of look forward to that next year. Should be a good meet.
Focusing on the women's side, senior Maddie Weinberger and Rebecca Marsh jumped out on the page there. They won 2 individual awards. How important is it for you, for Weinberger, to set the tone for your team's events going forward?
I mean, I almost think it's just like we almost take her for granted, which is going to be really tough next year. We won't have that okay, we know Maddie's going to win this breaststroke, and she didn't have a ton of competition. She'll have a lot more this weekend. At Marymount, the breaststroke has been kind of right with her or faster than her. I mean, she's done really well, and I think she was in a good position for where she wants to be at the end of the year at this meet. We kind of were just swimming through some events, trying some different things, trying some more relaxed swims, and it was good to see her get the win with a little just stretching out her stroke a little bit and kind of relaxing.
Reliability, depth, taxes, and Weinberger
right.
taking care of the breaststroke. That's how it's been.
And in regards to Becca Marsh, she just kind of did her work in the distance, which, she's a junior. We won't lose her next year. We're certainly going to miss her in 2 years. But, yeah, kind of similar, I think, where, she was kind of in a class by herself. That was good to see her work pay off.
Do you see the potential for her to maybe step into that Weinberger role of kind of setting the tone next year, being a junior this year?
I think so. I think we rely on her quite a bit.
Yeah. First year, we go from the upperclassmen to the underclassmen. First year, Gabby Thompson finished first in the 200 butterfly. What did you like about what you saw from her?
I mean, she swam a really smart race. Her teammate, it was just her and her teammate Taylor Stanbeck in that event. And, Taylor was ahead for most of that race. And then Gabby really, on the last 25, surged ahead. So, I mean, I could have just easily been talking about Taylor
Yeah.
here. But no, they that's not an easy event.
Mm.
That's kind of been Taylor's bread and butter for a really long time. Um, Gabby's picked it up a little bit more recently, but starting to really like it. I think because she's pretty good at it, and no, it's fun to watch them compete.
Sticking with the first years, but going to the men's side, Adam Stein just continued his impressive first-year campaign, grabbed first in the 1,000-yard freestyle. How has his growth blossomed right in front of you this year?
It's really cool to watch, and that's a kid who, it's all mental with him. He wants to be here every day. He loves swimming. He's got a big smile on his face. Before every race, he just works his butt off too. That's why he's been successful.
Yeah.
In practice every day, he steps up to the challenge and does really well.
Sophomore Luke Holloway won the 50-yard freestyle with a time of 22:72. First year, Luke Russell finished second in the 50-yard freestyle at 23:26 and was the runner-up in the 100-yard freestyle, his time 53:35. What did you see from these two, the two Lukes that you liked, similar to Adam Stein?
I almost thought Russell was going to catch Holloway in that 50, to be honest, which was impressive. Russell is if we could just have like a 12-yard freestyle, that'd be the best event for him. He just likes going fast for pretty quick distances. And Holloway, from when I've talked to him, didn't necessarily see himself as a 50 person, I think, but is ranked number 2 in the conference right now in the 50 and number 1 in the 100.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's found that role pretty well. I think he might have seen himself kind of taking over Christian March's 200 free role, but I think he's taken over the 50 free role a little better. Having said that, if Luke listens to this, I definitely expect great things out of the 200 free for him. And
both Lukes.
Yeah, he's gunning for that 143 record we have, which he's got a phenomenal talent and a phenomenal effort that I think good things are going to happen at the end of the year.
Name has been thrown around a lot this season. Anthony Giuseppetti, another sophomore, he had a good performance, won the 200-yard backstroke with a time of 2 minutes and 8 seconds, and added second place effort in the 200-yard freestyle around 2 minutes as well. Is it fair to say on the men's side that the young bucks are kind of taking the reins here?
Yeah, I think we're kind of forced to do that. I mean, we don't have any seniors, and we have 2 juniors, so it ends up being a really young team. There's a lot of young leadership there, and the sophomores in particular. Our sophomore class is like huge, and also like really good.
Yeah.
So we tend to see a lot of our meets driven with them, which is fun. It's good energy to have.
And that's a really good situation because 2 years down the line, these guys are seniors, and they've got reps and a lot of stuff under their belts to where they can compete at some of the highest levels because they've just been in it. That's great.
Well, I'd hope so, and then we'll get some people we just gotta get some more people in to kind of round out that team and give them a team by their senior year that they're gonna compete with some people.
Absolutely. The next meet is here at the Bobcat Natatorium against Alderson Broadus on Friday, February 1st, and potentially York to make up for that cancellation. What can we expect to see in this matchup?
We're going to have some fun, do some different things. I feel like that we're tuning up for champs more than anything. It'll be an interesting meet. If York comes, which I think they will. I feel weird being unsure right now, but they've kind of committed, and if Eric Rasmussen is listening, please come. And
absolutely.
But York is an outstanding program and probably gonna rip us apart. On the other hand, we are, I think, safely ahead of Allison Brodus. So it's kind of a weird meet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's tough to handle the mentality of that meet where we will both be killed and will kill. We're kind of trying some different things. It's a nice opportunity to kind of relax a little bit, kind of have less pressure, and then Marymount on Saturday ought to be pretty close. So it's good to have those ups and downs, I think, instead of the constant stress.
Yeah, back-to-backs. Is that usual in swimming, or is that something you have to get adjusted to a little bit?
That's pretty usual, and our conference meets and our the Franklin Marshall invite was like 3 days straight. So
Okay. You experienced it.
there's some, I think, some benefit learning that mental side of we gotta get up 2 days in a row. We gotta get used to travel, get used to some adversity,
Yeah.
and learn how to handle that.
Coach Brian Christensen, it's always a pleasure to bring you on. Week 20 of the Bobcast. Thank you so much, and good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and it should be fun.
Back here on the Bobcast, Coach Sean Brown coached a tale of two games this past week, splitting the CAC games, losing to York and defeating UMW, both on the road. How nice is it to make shots in the game of basketball, I guess is my question.
Well, it's it's the greatest feeling because when you make shots, it infuses energy and confidence and energy in the whole team, not just the person who's making the shot. So it's nice. You said it's nice to make shots.
It's a make or miss game for sure. Looking at the York game, your team closes on a 27-9 run, but for the most part, they were out of it for almost the entire game. And what, in your opinion, changed from that first half to the second?
Well, strategically, we put our team in a really bad situation. After the game, that's the first thing I said after the game. I said it to my coaches, the coaching staff. I think it was 15 to 16 minutes into the game. Strategically, I feel like I blew that game. But we put our guys in a really bad situation, a tough situation early, and asked them to climb out of a hole that, quite frankly, we put them in as a coaching staff, and we went back and forth and we challenged them, and down the stretch, we played really well, and I was leaving the game. I was telling our coaching staff, I think we found something, and sometimes you got to lose to gain. And you learn a lot from losses. You break down film, you watch a lot of tape, and you strategize. But again, strategically, we dug that hole for our guys early.
We've sat here in these chairs in the Hall of Fame room. We've said it before. You've been quoted as saying, "We go as Lawrence goes," and it couldn't be more true in this past week of games. His shot isn't falling like he would like it, I would assume, but how has he impacted the game in other ways in his performance?
Well, as you see, early on in the season, he was trying to find it. It was finding it hard to kind of get his legs under him. We not only did we get bit by the injury bug early, a lot of our guys were sick, had a lot of illnesses that went through the team. Luckily, Lawrence's illness was earlier in the year, but as you can see by the turnovers, he just didn't have the energy that he needed, to play his style of play. Lately, you've seen the turnovers go way down, assist numbers are way up. So no matter if he's hitting his shot or not, we need him out there on the floor because he impacts the game in a lot of different ways. He knows his responsibilities defensively. He gets guys on the same page. He knows everyone's responsibilities out there. Again, he's played a ton of ball. He's probably played 2 or 3 times more ball than anybody on his team. He's been I know for certain he's been playing since he was like 7, and he's played in thousands of games. So he understands. He knows what's what. So we need him out there, no matter if he's making shots or not.
Pettis is getting his game going here late in the season. The guy who's just been sprinting down the stretch has been Terry Kenner. Against UMW, puts up a game-high 32 points and a Frostburg State University record 8 made threes. He's just been on a tear these past few games, and I know Andy's spoken with you last week. Has his shot-making ability and overall threat just opened the floor for everyone else?
Well, again, we knew he was a guy that was going to impact our team at some point. He's a junior college kid who came in. We had high expectations for. We knew he had a really good one-on-one game, really good offensive game. His defense is pretty solid, especially his activity on the ball. He's a pretty good player. Just kind of had to fit into what we were doing. He's another kid who had a really bad illness, and it affected him maybe 2.5, 3 weeks. Although he were playing, he wasn't getting DNPs. Wasn't playing a lot, and I think he got it under control. Let's just say that. And they figured out what was bothering him and what was wrong with him. Once he started to get healthy, he started to put his weight back on and put on muscle, and he's been in the gym grinding it out, putting in work. He's a really hard worker. His in between game is even better than his deep range 3-point game. We knew he was we knew he was a kid when we recruited him to come in. We knew he was a kid who was going to impact us offensively right away. I think in junior college he averaged right around 19 points a game on 46% shooting, just under 40% shooting from three. They didn't win a lot of games, but he's well coached. Coach Snowden does a great job of coaching those guys down in Anne Arundel, and put him in a good situation to highlight his skills. I think he also averaged like 5 rebounds and 4 assists a game. So we knew he was a complete player. And Terry's kind of coming. He's hitting his stride. He's learning our system a little more, and sky's the limit for Terry. He still has another year. Only 1 year college playing experience. So he still got a lot to learn, and he still has another year. So we look forward to Terry keeping it going.
As a team, you shoot 55% from the floor, 63 from three. Other than just hitting the shots, what was working for your team offensively and defensively?
Well, that's where it started defensively. We were getting stops early, and we made it really hard on those guys. We challenged them every possession, and that's something that we talked about from day one, and we kind of got away from it, and that's what we've been talking about the last 2 weeks ago, or so. Christopher Newport's one of those teams. York, they're one of those teams. Those guys will challenge you every single possession, offensively and or defensively. No matter if there's a mismatch or not, they're challenged for every rebound, every 50-50 ball. And, that was something that we had to get back to. And I think that kind of got us going, and that caught Mary Washington off guard because we're athletic, but we're a finesse team. And we I think we got we went back to some things at practice, got back in the lab, and we challenged them every single possession, or we tried to challenge them every single possession, and that that kind of got us going, got our mentality, changed our mentality where we were playing to win and not playing not to lose.
Coach, take a step back. You're sitting at 9-9 on the season, but 5-3 in CIC play. As the season starts to come to a conclusion, and how do you become a little more consistent as we go down the end of the season towards tournament play?
Well, we want to number one consistently challenge our guys to keep being the best players they can be, keep being the best people they can be, and also the best students. Because that's important. If our guys are thinking positive, if they're doing well in the classroom, if they're hitting in a positive direction off the floor, I feel like that'll carry on to practices and games. So just kind of keeping those habits consistent. Practice, keep practicing good practice habits. Again, we're challenging these guys. These guys want to win it. They not only want to get a home game, but they want to play in a championship game, and they think that we could challenge any player, any team in this conference. So that's how we keep them hungry, or keep them more consistent. Keep challenging these guys, keep holding these guys accountable. There's some, there's some things obviously that we're trying to do to, kind of get more consistent. But those are things that I can't disclose.
Yeah, absolutely. Tuesday, you hit the road to play Mansfield. What can we expect to see from them?
Well, Mansfield, they are a Division II team. A lot of speed. All five of their starters, I think, are in double figures. We're gonna see a totally different athlete on Tuesday or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Our mindset will be just like when we went to Longwood. We're not going down there to just play with these guys. We want to compete. We want to compete well, and we want to win this game. So you can expect a really hard Fort game. I assume that it'll be back and forth. Um, Again, they have really good players. I feel like we have really good players, and we also have a conference game the next day.
Yeah.
So but again, we're trying to win this game. We're going to come out. We're going to play hard. We're going to play fast. We're going to play tough, and let the chips fall.
As you said, you have a conference game on Wednesday. You face SVU, Southern Virginia, after beating them in Buena Vista 72-69. What can you take from that matchup and carry it over into Wednesdays?
Well, we had that was an ugly win. They really challenged us. I mean, they're
Not an easy place to play down in Buena Vista.
No, it's not. And when they're at their absolute best, as you can ask any other team in this conference, they're tough out, especially in their building. But there are some things also that we took away from that game. We kept notes on all the teams that we've played, and there's some things that they did to kind of get us uncomfortable. And today we're gonna do a little bit for Mansfield, but tomorrow during the Mansfield game, that's when we'll work on the things that we want to get accomplished against SVU. There's some things we want to do that we're going to try against Mansfield to kind of alleviate some of the things that SVU did against us that kind of got us uncomfortable. And they did a really good job of, getting us out of our comfort zone, getting us uncomfortable for about maybe 37 minutes of that game.
Coach, on Groundhog Day, you play St. Mary's again, beating them 82-69. I'll ask you the same question. What do you want to carry over from that last game?
Well, we hopefully we play as well as we did there. That was the best Frostburg team I've ever seen play at St. Mary's or against St. Mary's. For whatever reason, and it's been that way since I've been here. We get up for St. Mary's. We get up for Salisbury and St. Mary's. Something about those two schools we get up for. So it won't be a hard sell for me. I don't have to do any extra rah-rah or, pumping these guys up because they get up for St. Mary's. No matter if St. Mary's come in 0-8 or 8-0, we always get up for St. Mary's. So, hopefully our guys will, come in looking to, come out early, jump out on them early, and play good defense like we did down at St. Mary's College.
Coach Brown, always a pleasure to talk to you. Good luck this week.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Back here on the Bobcast, Fielder Dennis with Coach Kerry Saunders. Coach, the road trip is over, and you have some home games coming up. But what, in your opinion, was the difference in the two matchups this past week against York and UMW?
A lot. You said it too. We've been on the road forever.
Yeah.
We've been on the road forever. Today's the first day of classes. It's the end of intersession for us. And it's just the end of a long month of January. But those two matchups, York is always tough. They've played some really good teams. Their record doesn't really indicate the team that they are. Obviously, they just beat CNU this weekend as well. And Mary Wash again. It's a tough place to go play. We didn't play our best basketball on Saturday. And we've had some injuries. Had some tough times within our program. But we'll bounce back. Nothing better than to get back into a rhythm of school, get back into a rhythm of practice, and finish out these last 6 games strong. And at least we've got a week at home to recover here. So,
Coach, you spoke about it. School's back in session. If you were to give, your intersession break, I guess, a grade or to judge it, what would you say about your team's performance? Maybe this intersession, how much work you got done?
We did get done, a good amount of work. Overall, I'm pleased. Do we want to end intersession going 0-2? No. But overall, looking back, I do think we've pulled some kids along. Especially with Sydney's injury, we've had other kids needed to step up. That's a big role to fill. So, I think we're trying to find that depth as we go into these last 6 games of the season, and intersession helped with that. But at the time, intersession's, a blessing and a curse. You get all this time to work, but at the same time, there's no rhythm to our girls' outside lives. They have a lot of time on their hands. They're not in school. It's kind of once you get past 1 or 2 weeks of it, they're kind of over it. So, if I had to give it an overall grade, I would say a B, but you're talking to me on Monday after an 0-2 week. So that kind of stings a little bit. I'm ready to get back, on our home court and play a game on Wednesday.
In the York matchup, junior Victoria Yoder poured in 22, and this isn't the first time she's scored in bunches on the road. Do you think she has a different mentality when she's traveling?
I don't know. She does have, she plays well on the road for the most part, but I can always tell because she has this little spark to her game and this little bounce to her game when she has those points. She's very focused. She's very locked in, and she's a lot of our kids, it's written all over their face how they're feeling that day, how they're playing, and she was completely locked in at York. She was in rhythm. She was confident in her shot. She would take her shot when it was available, and we needed that. We needed that from her because we're in a little scoring drought, which I never thought that we would be in with how many scores we have, but everyone seems to be in a little drought. So it was nice to see her kind of get going again. And she played really well at York.
It's just kind of unusual because typically players perform better at home, score more at home. They have their rims, their own bed to sleep in, but she seems to just get the job done on the road. It's pretty impressive. In the York game, your team shot 12% from three, one of 8 against the Spartans. How does that get fixed, in your opinion? Is it a ball movement, better screens, or overall execution of plays? What do you think it is?
All of the above.
All the above.
We are not setting screens. We are not moving the ball. We are standing around and watching. We do have sets with movement, but I feel like you wouldn't be able to tell. And they know that we're a 3-point shooting team. So, it's second time around. When we play these teams, they're going to defend the 3-point line and make a score somehow else. And so we've been trying to talk about that in practice is we live and die by the 3, and right now we're dying, so to speak. 12% from the 3-point line is not like us. So, but what are we doing to change that? Are we getting the ball inside? Are inside people stepping up? Are we trying to get to the free throw line? Or, all of those things come into play. And I feel like we're just kind of in this slump of, well, hopefully someone will make a 3. And that's not necessarily the case. We've got to be able to find other ways to score. So hopefully, again, getting back at home with our rims, we can kind of shoot the ball a little better, get a little bounce back in our step. But it's frustrating because we do live and die by the 3 a little bit too much, and it's trying to find that healthy balance between getting the ball inside and back out and getting open shots, because right now we're not getting open shots. Everything's contested. Everything's worked for. So we've got to find that rhythm again within our offense.
This may just be an outside observer, but ever since the Stotler injury we had this week, she did a great job of setting those screens and kind of opening up those shooters. And then you talk about them forcing inside, and she had a really good touch around the rim. Do you think that has had an impact?
Yeah, 100%. With Amanda and Sydney in the paint, they have to respect that. And now with one of those presents gone, I'm not saying that Amanda isn't a strong present, but now she's the only one in the paint. And so now it's like, okay, well, as long as we can handle Amanda in the paint, then we're free to protect the 3-point line, because they know that inside game isn't quite as strong. Our rebounding has dropped off, all of that, those types of things. Sydney is not a player that floods up the stat line with things. She rebounds. She gets her 8 to 10 points a game. But she does so many other things. Her length and her size in the paint, especially on the defensive side of the floor, people are getting in the paint on us left and right now. Just because we don't have that inside presence anymore. So I'm sure if you look at, how they're scoring, yes, they're hitting some outside shots, but everyone's getting to the rim against us right now because that shot blocking presence is completely missing. So yeah, it's definitely played a role on both sides of the floor. She's definitely, she plays majority minutes for us. That's a huge void to kind of replace. And we're trying to replace it with most likely like a freshman or, someone really young and inexperienced or doesn't have the experience that Sid does. So hopefully we'll get her back here soon. Progress is going okay. But, we've still got to get other people to give us those minutes because she's going to be tired for a little bit having this week of recovery. So, but yeah, happy intercession's over, getting back into the rhythm of everything and looking forward to Wednesday.
Moving on to the UMW game on Saturday, both matchups this past week, the second quarter has kind of been the Achilles heel. 7 points versus York, 4 versus UMW. What do you think attributes to that?
I think part of it is both of those quarters, Amanda got in foul trouble. Amanda got in foul trouble, and once you remove Amanda out of the equation, our inside presence is kind of gone. There's not that dominant post player that comes in. We're trying to develop Anna into that, and Jada has been out with wisdom teeth, 2 days ago, or Friday was her or Thursday was her first practice back. We've had no size. We've completely, we've hit this bump in the road here. And both of those against York and Mary Wash, Amanda picked up 2 fouls. And so it was kind of a chess match of, do I put her back in? Do I save her for the second half? How big of a lead do I think we can give up? Because her presence is key in the paint. Because when she's out of the game, there's no way our guards are getting up shots. There's no way.
Yeah.
They're running us off the three-point line. So I think that was a huge testament to kind of where we are right now. We're a little unhealthy. We've got to be able to get back healthy pretty quickly. There's still 6 games left, but those second quarters killed us. You got to find ways to score when your back's against the wall, and I don't feel like we did a great job of that. And everyone has got to want to score, and if you can't score, get to the free throw line. And that's something that we've been trying to teach our teams, is how to draw a foul and get to the free throw line. So those second quarters have not been kind to us.
On the other side of the coin, there's the fourth quarter, and that's been fireworks offensively, scoring 21 points against the Eagles. Is it a case of just trying to catch up, or is it more of a focus thing?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think more so trying to catch up, which shouldn't be the case. Why don't we play like this with this type of intensity the entire way through? And what's frustrating, from a staff standpoint, is we're not getting blown out. We're not getting blown out by anyone.
Yeah.
When we play poorly, we're still losing by 10, 15. I don't consider that a blowout. And that should click to how good of a team we can be. But it's not clicking right now. And maybe it's because of those pieces that are missing. But, the fourth quarter was strong for us. We outscored them in the first and fourth. And then we just had 2 awful quarters in between with the second and the third. And it's hard to come back from a quarter that you only score I think like 4 points in the third quarter or something, 5. Something very low. So, for us to put up 21 in the fourth quarter and can't get out of 10 points in the other 2 quarters, that's pretty frustrating. So we've got to find a way to put just a whole game together, no matter what happens within the situations.
This week you spoke about already home games, Southern Virginia and St. Mary's. SVU, one of the top dogs in the CAC. What can you take from that last matchup? What can you take into Wednesday's matchup, I guess?
I think from a staff we learned a lot about that game, about how we scouted that game. We're going to change some things up for sure. Try and get a little bounce on the defensive side of the floor for us. So, we're going to reroute some things for sure. But the biggest thing for us is to find that offensive rhythm as well. I've always been a coach that's preached defense, defense, defense. And right now we can't score the ball. So we've kind of got to reroute it a little bit and try and find some rhythm within the offense. But from a staff point, from a film point, we're looking at it from a different perspective this time around. And so I'm excited to see what we can put together for Wednesday for sure.
Coach Carrie Saunders, thanks so much for joining us on the 20th edition of the Bobcast this year, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
Back here on the Bobcast, Fielder Dennis with Coach Dale Louie, indoor track and field, and Coach this weekend kind of a split team in terms of different places for the events. We'll start at Bucknell. The men's team gets 3 first-place finishes, Romano, Nelson, and Kearns. What did you see out of them that was so successful this past weekend?
Well, the competition's obviously pretty decent up there, and anytime you can win something up there is a real plus. So my hats off to those guys in that regards. And and their performances were steps in the right direction. Obviously for John, PR and Robbie, indoor, excellent performance there. Shamar's jumped a little further. I think that might, though, I'd have to double check, might actually be probably his best indoor performance in the long jump and stuff. So, all three of those, as you folks, I think, put in your write-up there on our website, good performances in terms of ranking in the region, and that'll, give them some kind of national ranking, and hopefully you can start to sniff at the possibility of going to, to national. They all have a ways to go.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's good motivation for them.
Talking about Romano specifically, runs the 1 mile in 4:19, beating competitors from the D1, D2 level. Has he grown as a runner from cross country to now, even though it's been a short amount of time?
Well, he's probably been through the years here. He's probably been maybe a little bit more consistent on the track than in cross country. And I hesitate to say that because he's really one of the more consistent runners that you'll see, week in and week out. We've had some good distance runners here, but I would say that he's probably one of the most consistent quality distance runner that we've had in both track and cross country. So he is continuing to grow into that mile. He loves it. We've talked a number of times, he and I, his event coaches at times. He's worked with a number of us, and we have tried to kind of almost get him to move up in distance, because when you look at his success in cross country, you would think it would equate to a 10K, 5K on the track, and yet he's a little like a distance sprinter, so to speak. We get sprinters in here, and they all think they're 60-meter people, and they're really not 60-meter people. Sometimes you get distance people, and they all think they're 800 and mile people because of some of the high school relay races and things of that nature. But Robbie, like I said, it's really grown into the mile. I mean, that time that he ran Saturday is an excellent time. It's probably the fastest, indoor time we've had in a mile since All-American Brian Leiter. And Brian was an exceptional athlete for us.
Shamar Nelson's long jump, you spoke about on the website, currently ranks 3rd in the NCAA Mid-East region. How does he impact the other athletes on the team with his performance?
I think some of Shamar's impact is more so at practice than at the meets. He tends to come and do his business, and he has a lot of fun. He enjoys himself. He enjoys his teammates. He enjoys his sport. But at the same time, he's all business too, and he's come a long way since he first showed up. And we joke about it between the two of us quite a bit. Usually once a week at least it comes up or whatnot, and we get new coaches, and they're kind of like making some comments, and we're both like, well, should have seen him, 3 years ago.
Yep.
So he's come a long ways as a runner, as a jumper, and he will be the first to tell you that technically there are things that he can continue to get better at, which should bode well for him jumping even further.
Trio of runners posted results in the 400-meter dash. Sophomore Clayton Washington took 17th place with a time of 53:19. Junior Tyreek Charles was 22nd with a 53:95, and senior Matthew Robinson was 23rd with a 54:23. How have they gotten themselves in the mix in terms of their standing on the team right now?
Well, the strength of our sprint core is going to be in the 400 hurdles as well. The three gentlemen you mentioned there are part of that mix, and we've got some other athletes as part of that mix. Demetrius Sims ran with the DMR team, a 400 leg there, and he's part of that mix. It's really a plus for our program to be deep in that 400 area, because it gives you a lot of flexibility for relays. Those gentlemen can. We've got some of those gentlemen like Tyreek can bounce up to the 800 for us. We have some people like Clay who, ran a pretty decent 200 there. They can bump down to that. Any track team needs, some quality 400 people there. who have some flexibility. And if you have that, your team is going to be able to weather injuries. It gives you flexibility in your meet lineups. But when you get to the championships in particular, I do believe some of our success, if you look at our men's and women's teams the last couple of years, we've done very, very well in the relays. And it's because we have some depth in that, that area. And it's not just, one star, so to speak. We've got some depth, and you just keep running out people on each leg that are pretty consistent meet to meet, and good things are going to happen.
Moving to the women's side, senior Holly Van Wee took 16th in the weight throw with a season best 13.62 meters, 44 feet, and 8.25 inches. Did you see improvements on her technique in the Bucknell throw?
Yeah, Hallie right now is much stronger in the weight than the shot, and she's close to really putting some things together there technically in the weight throw there. She's done some different things in the shot. We're really going to need to take a look at some of that because we may need to go back to some of her prior methods, approach to that, because right now it's not coming together using like the rotation and stuff. So, but she's got a lot of athletic ability. You've seen her. She's not a real big. You wouldn't walk by her and say, right, there's a weight thrower.
Mm-hmm. John Kearns, you may change the argument.
Correct. Right. Absolutely. But Holly, her athleticism shows, her strength, and she does work really hard at her technique, and that's one of the reasons she's had some of her success. And she tends to come on strong at the end of the season, and we hope that continues.
Sophomore Madison Watson took home 26th place in the 400 meter, this being her second year. Have you seen some development in her abilities so far?
She, I think, on the mental side of things is where the development is coming. I think she believes a little bit more in herself than last year. Last year we were suggesting to her that she could do certain things, and I'm not so sure she believed us, but she did them. Mm-hmm. So this year I think there's a better mental approach there, or more confident, I should say, approach on her part. Again, one of her very consistent runners, and like I said earlier with the guys, I mean, she has the ability to really run everything from 60 meters to, she run cross country, So she's a very talented person, and we think that she can really develop to become a top-notch, regional and perhaps national sprinter.
Moving to Edinburgh, another cross-country name, Sarah McCurry finished 7th in the 3,000 with a teammate Sydney Brown, not too far behind, finishing 13th in 13th place. What did you like about what they did in Edinburgh?
Well, overall, with our whole team, as you know, we lost that meet the week before, so we're really trying to get people into meets.
Yeah.
So that's what we really liked. And in the case of Sarah, she's missed some meets for us due to some scheduling conflicts and things. So it was really nice to get her out onto the track and get some turnover there. She's very consistent with her pace, and she showed that. She ran against some pretty good competition there on Saturday, and she just needs to get into some races now. And obviously the weather's gotten in the way of some of our events to get some good working out in. Sid's really come a long ways. She probably ran the most consistent 800-meter race that she's ever run here on Saturday. And that really is going to set her up for improving, because she's getting a lot smarter as a runner, and she's always had talent. She hasn't believed in her abilities. She does now. She's become very focused. She's really grown a lot since her freshman year, and she's got a dynamic personality that I think keeps everybody going and uplifted, and we need that on our team right now.
Senior Ashley Myers finished with a season best in the 400-meter dash. How long does it take, in your estimation, for a two-sport athlete, she also plays field hockey, to kind of get acclimated to the track?
That's a good question, and it kind of goes back to Holly as well, because she also was on the field hockey team, and it does take a little bit of time. It's there's different kinds of shape for different sports.
Right.
And now Ashley is more into the running, obviously, than Holly with the throwing. So it's a little bit more of an adjustment probably for Ashley to make. I just made the comment to her at the meet there Saturday that when I watch her run, I said to her, I said, I can't help but watch you at practice and at meets and think, how good would Ashley have been if she'd been running with us for 4 years?
Yeah.
Because she continues to show improvement. She also has a range of events that she can do for us. Being still kind of a raw person in terms of track experience, there's still things that we say to her that she doesn't believe us. But she's again somebody who could run 200 to 800 meters for us, and gives us some real flexibility. Again, when we get to the conference meet, we're going to be leaning on Ashley, I think, for some different events and things.
On the men's side, two guys on the men's side finished fourth. First was senior Matthew Whitley in the 3,000. Next was Charles Schwab in the 60-meter hurdles. How effective was it in terms of execution for both the teams in Edinburgh?
Well, the facility is really nice.
Yeah.
It's a big bubble. It's an oversized track, so that was a new experience for our people, and a little bit challenging in terms of trying to establish pace and for the runners as well as for the coaches. But a really nice place to perform. In the hurdles there, Jimmy did a really nice job. He unfortunately was in heat with only one other person, and coming out of blocks, Jimmy was gone, and boom. He really would have benefited from being in the other heat there to pull him along. But he's a guy who's not very tall, and Coach Beloga last year had to kind of convince him that he could run the high hurdles, and now Jimmy knows he can run the hurdles, and he's getting pretty good, and he knows it. He knows he's getting close to really dropping his time. So, good experience for him. And then Whitley is been since cross country running up a storm. He's celebrating his senior year, man, and he's putting everything into it, and the results are showing. Did really nice job Saturday with even pace. He's probably a little bit on the track more of a 5K, 10K person. But the 3 is a good workout for him at this point in time.
What are your expectations for the SU Challenge, the upcoming event?
It should be a good meet with good competition. We'll see some teams, I think, that we haven't seen so far this year. So that's good. Still will be a mixture probably of D1, D2s, and probably a little heavier in D3 schools there, but some quality D3 teams. We're to this point, I told our coaches, we really need to be focusing on getting seed times for the championships, because for some of our people, it's just going to be their last meet before the conference. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, we've only gotten 3 in, because of weather and, stuff like that. So that'll be our challenge, and so we'll be putting together, you might say, a little bit more of a championship lineup on Saturday. Because of what we're trying to accomplish there.
Coach Dale Louie, always a pleasure to talk to you. Good luck this weekend at Susquehanna.
Thank you very much.